Hey everybody, Chris Shipley, Shipley Pest Solutions. Finishing up my day here. So it's third week of January 25th today. Had an influx of mice calls here as this snow is thawing, and we've had a bunch of rain as well. And so I think what's happening right now is I think a lot of these rodents are getting displaced, and so they're being forced to move. So they might be in a ditch line, a fence row, out in the shed, something like that. And then as this water thaws and just floods certain areas, you get that displacement. Normally we'll get that in like March and April here in northern Indiana, but we're getting some of those calls now. I was just at a commercial business that we service regularly, and they had seen some activity, which is kind of odd for right now. And so that coincides with a couple of phone calls we've had too. And so I just think we're kind of going through that right now here, third week of January, going to be February next week and a half. But it's unseasonably warm. It's 42. All the snow's melted for the most part. It looks like the ground may actually thaw, which is also kind of crazy. I would still expect here to get a week or two in February of just frigid cold. But we'll see. But yeah, so seeing an influx of mice right now. Also, typically what will happen is when we get these warm-ups, these thaws like this early in the spring, which typically happen later February, March, is we'll start to get a push of ant calls. And what happens is right now, a lot of those ants in the fall, they move. And so they'll live underneath the foundation or in a crawl space. Like if you have a slab home, they'll just live under that concrete because that ambient temperature will stay 45-ish degrees, 50 degrees year round. And they'll just live right under that, but they'll take food stores with them when they move inside. And that will last them a couple months. This happens when we have longer winters, typically. So we have these extended cold, hard winters. You get the first 40, 50 degrees sunny days in February, and we'll get just a flurry of ant calls because, you know, that queen recognizes, oh, it's warm, we need food, we're running low on food stores, you know, because they've been hibernated, essentially not hibernated, but they've been really lethargic, settled down, haven't been openly foraging for, at that point, 3-4 months since late November. And so I expect to get a few of those calls here, late January, early February, as it warms up, especially if this water kind of stays and we get this sort of spring thaw early. That will displace those ants. That'll kind of wake some of them up and move some of them as well. So those are some things to kind of notice or look forward to as well here over the next couple weeks. Roach work, bedbug work has stayed consistent for us. Still doing roach work, bedbug work, flea work, still doing flea work. But the bedbug work, it slowed there for a little bit. It always kind of slows around Christmas. I think just because money gets tight for people, they're more focused on holidays, family, things like that. And then if they're dealing with a bedbug issue, we'll get a bunch of calls kind of in December, November leading up to it. We'll tell them a price, you know, because our average price on bedbugs is anywhere from, you know, like a 1-bedroom type apartment, you know, is around $700. And then we provide multiple services for that charge. That's not a one and done. But you know, a 3-bedroom house, 3 beds, some furniture, you know, we're going to be $1,000, $1,200-ish. And so that's a big expense. And so a lot of times, yeah, and people traveling around the holidays, I often refer to it as bedbug season here in the spring, particularly after spring break, when people get back from those. So we will start to see a pickup of bedbug, at least bedbug work, as people kind of get a month or two out of Christmas and that Christmas spending. And they're like, okay, now it's time why don't we kill these bedbugs? I'm tired of living with these things. I have no issue or qualms if people want to tackle it themselves, or at least mitigate it, you know, use a vacuum, do what you can to kind of slow the spread, slow them down. A vacuum's great. Obviously it's a non-chemical solution. You're physically just removing the bed bugs so they can't reproduce, they can't bite you. So the vacuum really is a great weapon. Another kind of cheap thing too is a lint roller. You can grab a lint roller and just roll it along the back of any of the furniture, the sewn seams on a bed, couch, etc. Wherever you find them, just peel it off, throw it away. You know, most lint rollers are $2-3. Pick those up. And that's kind of an easy way to eliminate really, I mean, one roll and heavy infestation, I mean, you could eliminate a couple hundred bed bugs relatively easily. And so, but ultimately, bed bugs, you need a professional. You need somebody that, the biggest thing I see from the do-it-yourselfer versus what we've done, because at this point I've done a couple thousand bed bug jobs. I'm into my 18th year in pest control, and the biggest thing I notice is it's easy for somebody that just is getting bit by bed bugs on a couch. So they kind of attack the couch, they spray it, they do whatever on the couch. But what most people don't realize is those bed bugs, they're not just on the couch. If they originated in a bedroom, they're most likely on that bed frame, that mattress, that box spring, that nightstand, that dresser. And then when the person gets up in the morning, they go sit on the couch, have their morning coffee. If it's a kid, they're going chilling on the couch, to get ready for school. So then you'll ping pong them around. Then they go into the bathroom, disrobe, take a shower. And now that's how they get reintroduced or introduced all over the house. And so that's the biggest thing I notice is people will attack one area, attack one bedroom, but they're not doing it all at once. They're not doing all the laundry in the house. They're not treating the entire house. And that's the difference you're going to get with a professional versus, somebody kind of just attacking what they're seeing. And that's not to, denounce or talk bad about somebody trying to do it themselves, because it's expensive. I get it. But yeah, so bed bugs, we always see an uptick here. But I do expect it to get colder again here in February. We almost always get a couple week, like a last blast of just, it's 10 degrees every day for like 5 days. And that'll kind of slow everything down, harden everything back up, and then we're into March. But yeah, right now, we're just cranking along, commercial work, quarterly work. So commercials for us are, it's going to be churches, bars, restaurants, warehouses, just regular businesses. They have an office up front. They have a warehouse out back. We do a lot of manufacturing buildings. We do a lot of food handling, food processing. So a lot of food safe type things, do a lot of those, help keep the food supply healthy, make sure, rodents, roaches, things like that aren't getting into food packaging and handling. That's something I've done a long time and take a lot of pride in. I've never failed an audit. And so that's something we do as well. But yeah, and then just kind of collect ourselves, and then April will start. We're still getting some of the termite calls. Some home sales are still happening, so that's good. It's encouraging. Powder post beetles, getting those. And so January, February for us here, there's like a 6-week window here in northern Indiana that's always the slowest every year. It's basically like the second week of January to about the second or third week of February, maybe the end of February, is always the slowest period. But that's good for us. It allows us to collect ourselves, get tax stuff done, get office stuff done, get caught up on, equipment, maintenance, things like that. And we are going to be hiring this year. We're looking for at least one full-time person. I think we already have the part-time position filled. So we'll be looking at 3 people this year. And I'd like to get to 4 people, but I'll have to add another truck to do that. So that might be next year. If I can get to 4 people overall, 2 full-time, maybe a half-time, I think we'd be really, really good. We could service the Kosciuszko County, northern Indiana area here very, very well and efficiently, and not inevitably fall behind like we have. Last year we were fine until the middle of August. We were like 3 days behind all year, and then the middle of August, there was a stretch where there was a 4-week stretch where we lost 20 working days. And most months are 20 working days. And so it brutalized us by the end of September. And then we were completely behind. We had to refund people for a month. I think there were 20 or 30 we had to refund for 2 months. But so obviously we would love to stay up to date, stay ahead, work ahead, be able to provide a much better service. So yeah, January 25th. 42 degrees out, ending the day. Just steady Eddie, doing what we need to do. But yeah, I'm curious to see if this weather stays like this, because if it does, we're going to get some ant calls. These mice are probably going to start to move, but the ants are going to start to show up, and that will surprise people, because now I'll get the ants in January. But have a good day, everybody.